everyone. Well, this has been interesting. Probably about the 6th time I've attempted to record this video. I think I must be out of sorts with recording YouTube videos as it's been quite a while. Anyway, what I'm doing today is I'm reamping some bass that I recorded earlier in the year. I was quickly getting some bass tracks down, so I used a DI and just recorded them so that I could get it all down quickly without hassling about with mics, etc. So now I'm going back through and reamping it and recording it, and I'll drop in some pictures of my setup here. So I'm using the Palmer Da Capo, which is here by my side, going into my Fender Bassman, which is going out to a 2x15 cab in the live room. And I've got an Aston Origin in front of the top speaker, and I've got a cheap kick mic, dynamic kick mic. It's on at an angle on the bottom speaker. Both of them have been measured for capture from the distance to the grill to make sure that there are no phase problems. But I have pulled them back about 50 centimeters, something like that, just to let a little bit of air. I just find it gets a better sound with bass when you give it a little bit of space. So, what we're going to do, I've done all my latency adjustment thing and all the rest of it. If you want to watch a video on how to do that, go on to Kenny Joya's channel and check out, there's a video gone up of his lately that really explains that really well, how you can compensate when you're doing things like that so that you don't have to adjust afterwards to get everything in time properly. So without further ado, we'll get some stuff recorded in, and then what I'm going to do is kind of briefly go through my process of what I do with each of the mics, what I do with the DI track, because I've had a couple of questions on this about Warren Hewitt's version of high and low passing and all that kind of stuff. So we'll go into that in a minute, but what I like to do is get everything recorded in and listen to what I've got and then decide what I'm going to use for what, because my amp is quite dirty. So I tend to kind of like to use that for the dirty stuff and keep the DI clean, whereas other people tend to dirty up the DI. But we'll see. I've had my amp set like this for years. This is just how I like my personal bass sound. So if we record a section of this track in, and then we'll go into all that stuff afterwards, okay? So let's just hit record on this one. Okay, that'll do. Now, apologies, I can't let you hear anything other than this because this is a track that's still in the works. It's not my song, it's someone else's that I'm working with. I've employed all the musicians to play in this and whatnot, so at the moment I don't want to give away anything that I shouldn't be giving away, so apologies. All you'll be hearing is the bass. I might put the drums in at the end to let you hear what it's like with the drums. Right, let's have a listen to these individually. So if we let me just turn the amp down. If we have a listen to the DI first, you can hear I've got a fair bit of grit on that. So if we have a listen now to our condenser mic. It's a little bit cleaner. So if we have a listen to the dynamic. And if we have a listen to all three together, actually, yeah, tends to happen with a condenser. One thing to watch out for, and it's handy when you've got the folder track here, you can see all three traces here and how in phase or out of phase. And if I knock out our DI, you can see that our mics are in phase with each other, but they're actually out of phase with the DI. As you can see, the DI goes the opposite way. So a handy thing when you've got folder tracks, you can use that trace just to see. So as I take out each of the mics, you can see that's just our DI track. Put the mic in, you can see that they're out of phase with each other. So just something to watch for. So instead of, I'll just phase reverse the DI track, and that should give us the nice full sound of all three together. If I take the phase out, you can hear it really gets really thin there. So, you know, something to watch out for, because it does tend to happen when I mic up, the phase flips with the mics as compared to the DI. So always check just to make sure. Okay, so what I'm hearing is that there's quite a lot of dirt on the DI. So I'm going to use the DI track for my dirt. And actually, I'm not sure I want to do too much more to it. If we just listen on its own, it is quite, I think I put quite a lot of gain on it. I've got a kind of fancy DI box that I use for bass, which I can gain. I'll drop in a picture of it for you. It's one of those Harley Benton ones, but it's really, really nice sound. No, I'm kind of happy with that as it is. So we'll leave that one alone. Now what I'm going to have to decide to do is how I'm going to treat each one of the mics, because I want to control the low end and let the high end go through on its own, and control the high end separately, sorry. Okay, I'm kind of leaning towards, yeah, using a dynamic mic as my low end mic, and my condenser is my high end. So if I'm going to use, so I'm going to use this GS REEQ, and what I'm going to do is just drop in around about 450, drop in a point, and I'm going to make that, what are we working on now? We're working on the condenser. So I just want this to be high end, so I want to make a low cut there. Okay, and I'm going to tighten that up a little. Does it work with the Q? Nope. So let's slope it, make it about 18 dB, something like that. And then what we'll do is I will then, copy that effect, open up the effects for the dynamic, and we shall paste it in there. And then all we're going to do now is just the shape, we're going to make it a high cut. Okay, so now what we've got, if we listen to each individually on the condenser, there's all that high-end clarity that you get with the condenser mics, and on the dynamic, just all that bottom end. Now what I'm going to do then is add in a compressor. Let's just put my favorites up. Okay, so we've got virtual mic track here. I'm going to throw on my favorite EQ for bass is the 401. I'm going to leave that as it is. Let's just have a listen now to what low end's doing. Bring the threshold down. A little bit of makeup, put it onto the optical. Just bring in a little bit of the mix knob just to bring back a little bit of the original. That sounds nice. So it's nicely controlled at the bottom end. So now if we listen to all three together, take down. Now if I remove you can hear that when the dirt comes in, you'll hear it more. I'll drop the drums in, let you hear. Now, please remember, none of this is mixed in any way, shape or form. Let you hear it with the drums, and you'll hear how the grit helps to bring out the clarity of the notes. So I'll play it without it and then bring in the grit. Let's just turn those drums down a touch. So I hope you can hear that. The grit helps note clarity. You'll hear it even more once you start adding guitars, etc. And then it's just a case of mixing them together at the end. I mean, you really need to have the whole song in, and I'm sorry, I'm not sure I'm allowed. Let's drop the guitars in. Hopefully I'll get away with this. And we'll see what we get now. Drop out so I'll play it again and I'll drop out the DI track that's given as the dirt, and turn down the condenser a little bit because that's giving us a clarity. So if we have a listen with that, and then I'll drop it in halfway through. Bass notes have disappeared, if you can hear. Now you can hear them again. Bring up the condenser. Now you can hear the notes. But all the time with that I mean, I would put it in a compressor on the bus, etc. But, you know, just to give you a rough idea, so I've kind of compressed the bass end quite a lot and done a lot to the high end because I'm using that for the clarity. But the bass end is now under control, and I can do as much compression or whatever I want to it now and keep it under control, which means then I can push it forward a little bit more. And then the high end gives us a clarity of notes. It helps with little speakers, like you probably heard my phone beeping away there. You know, it helps the bass to come through on those kind of speakers, etc. So anyway, there you go, guys. I hope that's useful. I hope it helps you. And sorry it's been so long. I've been really busy. I've been off all summer, actually, because I've been working on my house. I promised my girls that I would give them their, you know, grown-up rooms now that I've finally had to accept that they're growing up. So I've been working on that. Plus, in the spring, I was really busy. I recorded a couple of albums. The singles have started coming out. So yeah, I was kind of under a little bit of secrecy with them. So I'm not, and I haven't really wanted to ask those guys if I can use this stuff in videos or not. So sorry about that, but you know, work comes first. Yeah. So anyway, hope to see you sooner than it took to get this video recorded, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye now.